Em fa molta il·lusió que avui estigui aquí, la Marta Botet. A la Marta la vam conèixer a través de la Marta Vinyoles. No sé si coneixeu, recordeu els granollers, la Marta Vinyoles. La Marta Vinyoles era aquella mestra d'anglès de l'antiga Escola Fàtima, que també va començar a fer els seus English Days. La Marta Vinyoles ara, en aquests moments, és assessora a l'IC del Servei Territorial i la seva funció ara és potenciar el que és la lectura en els centres educatius. Doncs ens va ensenyar un vídeo de fa un parell d'anys, una booktuber adolescent, que en escoltar-la, la veritat és que ens va enamorar. Transmetia passió per la lectura i emoció per allò que deia. Llavors vam veure que aquesta booktuber, que no coneixíem de res, la Marta Botet, havia anat al TED Talk de Nova York. Ostres, això ja són paraules grans, no? Va ser brutal escoltar-la parlar en anglès, veure aquesta facilitat que té amb la llengua anglesa i ens va agradar moltíssim. Llavors, a partir d'aquí, de la Marta Vinyoles i tot el que vam estar veient al centre de recursos, doncs vam decidir investigar una miqueta més per veure si la Marta Botet ens podia ajudar a agafar recursos per millorar, per ajudar el nostre alumnat a descobrir el que era la lectura. Espereu que... Disculpeu, és que em van entrar gent i haig d'anar clicant. Vam escoltar també una xerrada que va fer a la Universitat a Batoliva explicant com ella també participa en la seva educació. Doncs tot això, el que ens vam veure és que si ella tenia aquesta passió per la lectura, doncs potser ens podia donar pistes de com transmetre aquesta passió per la lectura al nostre alumnat. Ara la Marta ja no és aquella adolescent que vam conèixer al YouTube, sinó ja és una estudiant de segon grau de Comunicació Audiovisual a la Universitat Pompeu Fabra i que ja ha col·laborat en programes com el Suplement de Catalunya Radio o Terrícoles de Betevé. Vull agrair en aquest moment a la Núria Ventura de l'Escola GEM, qui coneixia la Marta Botet de l'Escola Virolai, que ens facilités el seu contacte i així poder comptar avui amb ella. Gràcies a Marta Botet per acceptar la nostra invitació. Esperem gaudir de la teva xerrada. Volem conèixer la teva passió per la lectura i que ens emocionis per poder transmetre al nostre alumnat aquesta passió i dir-vos a tots els que esteu escoltant que al final de la sessió, qui vulgui intervenir, demani si té possibilitat d'activar el micro, doncs demana torn de paraula a través del xat del Meet i jo li donaré accés perquè pugui parlar i pugui dirigir-se directament a la Marta i si algú té problemes amb el micro o tal, doncs fa la pregunta a través del xat i jo li transmetré a la Marta. Dit això, i espero no haver-me enrotllat gaire, Marta Botet, tens la paraula.
Hola, Albert, moltes gràcies per aquesta presentació, m'ha fet molta il·lusió i moltes gràcies per haver comptat amb mi per la vostra sessió de cloenda. Ara faré la conferència en anglès, l'únic que només em volia presentar en català un moment, que em fa molta il·lusió que heu pensat en mi i poder participar, ara com ho heu descrit vosaltres dos, en una iniciativa tan maca i que us aprecieu tant i que, a més, sigui per la llengua anglesa, que és una llengua que jo porto aprenent des de tota la vida i que quasi em sento, m'expreso en anglès igual que en català, vull dir que quasi penso en anglès. Aleshores, em fa molta il·lusió estar aquí avui per parlar de la meva passió per la lectura, però a més en anglès, que és una passió que veig que vosaltres també teniu, i ensenyar-lo i que els alumnes l'aprenguin, que sé que és complicat perquè jo també anant al col·le també me n'adonava que els hi costava a tots els meus alumnes i que prefereixen, és una assignatura que a vegades costa i tal, però jo crec que amb els anys també hi ha hagut un canvi de com s'afronta a l'aprendre la llengua anglesa, perquè també YouTube i les sèries de televisió i les pel·lícules també han influït molt en tots els alumnes i en com veuen aquesta llengua, que potser ja no la veuen tant com un esforç, sinó més com una possibilitat. Però, en fi, ara ja canvio el xip i em poso a parlar de la lectura i en anglès. So, hi everyone, I'm Marta. Today I'm here to talk to you about reading, which is my passion. And let me share, the presentation. Okay.
La Marta ens envia la presentació en PDF, us la compartiré quan acabem.
So today the mission here is to show you all some new ways to teach students how to read, because I feel like reading for me has always been very easy. It's always been an option for me at my house, as you can see here. This was me when I was 9 months old, and I was already surrounded by books. Books have always been around me. Both my parents are lovers of books, and I feel like I was born right at the time between the beginning of new technologies and total digitalization and the old school paperback books. So I feel like I was really lucky, because having books around was always common for me. Like, I've got a really big library at my house, and books were always a present for my birthday or for Christmas, and people always knew that I loved books, and that is due to my family and that they love books as well, and they transmitted that love for books to me. So that's why I feel I'm very lucky. But nowadays, I feel like in this new era, in the digital world, it's harder to find a love for books when there are so many other options out there for students to pick and choose, like TV shows, movies, video games, Twitter, social networks, YouTube. Everything in the digital world is quicker, more accessible than actually reading a book, because actually reading a book means you have to stop everything, stop looking at your phone, stop talking to someone, and actually sit down, open a book, and put in some effort to read what the author is trying to tell you and create a story and actually get in that book. I myself have been guilty of having reader's blocks, as I like to call them, because I feel like sometimes you get caught up in this quick, instant society that we live in, and sometimes, as I've been saying, it's easier to just look at your phone rather than going and picking up a book and actually reading it. So I myself am guilty of that, but I find that when I open a book and when I actually read it and submerge into this world, I forget where I am, I forget to look at my phone, loads of hours pass, and it's really, truly one of those activities that nothing else can live up to it, because it's something that you've got to do yourself in cooperation with the book. So I feel like it's really magical and an experience that once you live it once, and once you find that book that gets you into the reading world, it's truly amazing, and I feel like you can never stop. But it's really important to actually find that book and to get into this world, because if not, it's very easy to think, oh, for example, as I was growing up, I feel like loads of people thought that reading was boring, reading was a lonely activity, reading was something that freaks did, or like a library is someplace that you only go to study. And I feel like books have been nowadays very misplaced, and people think the worst of them, meaning that they don't see all this other aspect that I see in reading, and they just see these bad sides. And all my life growing up, I was a friend that was like, let me please recommend you a book, tell me what you like, I'll try to find something that I think you could really enjoy. I feel like everyone, as I said, has this book that puts you in, because it's very easy. There are loads of books, and it's very easy to read many things that don't really interest you and never actually get into the world. But I feel like everyone has that one revelation book that actually makes you think, whoa, this is an amazing experience, I never want to stop doing it. And since I loved being that person for my friends that they could come to, and that I would try to find the specific book that they liked, I thought that maybe I could try to share this passion with the world. And well, this is me. As I said, I've always been a reader. This is me reading at the beach, at the train, I think that's an airplane at my house. And these are all photos from when I was younger. So I've read in many places. I've even been guilty of reading with my I don't know como es diu, barnús, with my bathrobe when I got out of the shower, and I used to put on my bathrobe and sit on my bed and read until it was time to go to school, just saying that I was drying myself up. So I've been guilty of reading in many places and at many different times. So that's why I thought that if my friends can see how amazing reading was, I would try to be the person that would open this world to them. And that is when I created recomanacionsdelibres.blogspot.com, which actually the original name was Recomanacions de Llibres Infantils I Juvenils, because I actually started this project in 2011, which feels like a lifetime ago right now. And I was, in fact, 11 years old. So that's very, now that I'm about to be 20, I'm turning 20 next week. So it's kind of amazing to see that when I was that young, I let my passion drive me that far to actually create a blog and start sharing my passion for reading to anyone that could reach it. That was the beauty of the internet. My first post said, hola lectors del món, soc la Marta i us vinc a recomanar un llibre. So I really like the concept that I had of the internet, because I feel like nowadays everyone is used to it and everyone knows how to interact with it. But when you're 11, you feel, wow, the internet is the World Wide Web. You can post anything and literally everyone or anyone will read it. And I like that I had this bravery of just showing who I was and saying, hi, I'm here to recommend you some books. I hope that you have the same passion as me, and I hope that you enjoy reading as much as I do. But it wasn't only to share my passion with people who like to read. I feel like my main target were kids my age that didn't like to read, because I feel like, as I said, reading has always been something that students associate with school and therefore think that it's boring, that it's homework, that you don't really want to do it in your spare time. So I thought that maybe if I could share what I felt when I read, if someone their age could share this passion for reading, something that is boring and something that you shouldn't do in your free time because it's not like going outside and playing, that maybe that would open their eyes and I could get to them. So that's why I created this blog. And in my first videos, I'm talking about Jerónimo Stilton, Tina Superbruixa, El Bat-Pat, La Peña dels Tigres, all these books that I used to read when I was 11. And now, as I said, about to turn 20, I think that it's really cool to look back and have this sort of digital journal of what I liked a decade ago, which feels really weird to say because I'm only 20, but it was a decade ago. And I think that it's, I feel so lucky that I decided to take this step and actually do this. So today I would like to share my journey through YouTube and from creating this project, how it's lasted me this long, and then share with you some technologies and some methods that I have studied over the years that I think could really help you share this passion for reading in new and improved ways that students might not expect, and will help them break this stigma of reading and associate it with something boring, old school, etc. So let's see, this is a video. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it properly. If not, I'll just tell you what's going on. But this is just a video of me kind of growing up, but actually I did this video a few years ago, so I feel like I've changed from the last video that you can see here. But this is a mashup of one of my first videos and how I changed the way that I did my book reviews, because I feel that's the most important part, the changing and evolving. I feel like I've changed a lot throughout this journey and throughout these 10 years, but I feel that's something that you can really keep in mind, or something that's really important to keep in mind when you're teaching, because obviously, as you said in the beginning, you're used to doing this, for example, in person, and you've had to adapt to this new situation and have a meet through Google, and we're doing this digitally. And I feel like that is the main thing that we have to keep in mind right now, not only in these times, but in this whole era, in the 21st century, because I feel like we're in constant evolution, and we really have to be constantly evolving with the world and with the technologies, and not try to teach something as we always used to do it, and instead change it up and try to keep up with everything that's happening, and so teach in different ways. So this here is an evolution of how I changed how I used to recommend books, because when I first started, I asked my mum and dad to film me, and I didn't even have a tripod, so they would have to be my cameras, and they used to just wait for me to talk about a book for like 20 minutes talking about Jerónimo Stilton, and I had a lot to say. And then when I was editing, I didn't feel like I didn't want to cut anything, because everything felt important to me. So I used to post this really long videos of me just sitting there, just talking about a book without putting any effects, maybe a little title, which is actually really funny because, as Albert said, I'm studying Comunicació Audiovisual right now. So it's also really amazing to see the first videos I edited ever in my life, and how this has actually shown me what I want to study, which is what I'm studying right now. And it feels crazy to mix two of my passions, books and the audiovisual world, editing, filming, etc., and how both of them have stuck with me through 10 years and have gotten me to where I am today, still talking about books and studying Comunicació Audiovisual. So wait, I'll shut up and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Hola a tothom, ens trobem de nou en un episodi molt especial per mi, perquè parlarem del llibre Cònic l'Estival en el quart programa després de Nadal de recomanacions de llibres al programa. Bé, primer de tot, vull dir que Cònic l'Estival està escrit per Xavier Botet, el meu pare. Vosaltres sabeu de xifrar el cel? Jo no en sabia fins que no vaig llegir aquest llibre. El cel ens indica el nostre camí i el vent el nostre destí. Només s'ha de saber llegir. Això tampoc ho sabíeu? Doncs bé, la manera de saber-ho és agafant-nos de la mà del vent i llegint aquesta història. Avui us recomano Clàudia a aquesta lectura.
D'un pou de foscor, tristesa i desesperació. Doncs el Júnior ens ho explica en el seu diari del tot verídic d'un índia mitja jornada de Sherman Alexie a Clips de lectura.
So this is how I changed from my first recomanacions de llibres al programa to what I now call Clips de lectura. The reasoning behind changing all of this is that I feel like it was in 2014 or something that I realized that, as I'm saying, everything is so quick right now. I feel like that I had a teacher, my Catalan literature teacher used to say that we were la generació zapping, and that we couldn't keep our attention on something more than 5 minutes, and that we watch TV and we use our phones, and maybe we have our computer at the same time as we're talking to someone in person. So we are a generation that can split their attention in so many different ways, and it's really hard to keep someone's attention for 20 minutes, as I intended to do in the beginning of my YouTube channel, posting these long videos of me just talking and talking and talking as if it was a conference, but no, it was a YouTube video. So when I realized that YouTube wasn't about just filming reality and posting it, rather than actually creating a new reality, editing, and using all these tools that I had on my computer. If I wanted to show something, I didn't have to actually show it. I could just pop it up on the screen. And I feel like that's something that took me a few years to realize. But once I did, I also started to have a lot of fun with editing, music, using all these images, and you can see all of this. Like, I feel like there's a time in my videos where there's a bunch of things popping up on the screen, which now I don't personally do, but at the time I thought it was the way to catch someone's eye and keep someone's attention for 4 minutes. That's the time length I used to do my videos at, my book recommendations, because that's, I thought that it was, if I could catch someone's attention for 4 minutes straight to talk about a book, that was mission accomplished. And that's what I did when I created Clips de Lectura, which wasn't actually a full-on book recommendation. It was just saying a brief synopsis of the book and giving a little bit of my opinion, talking about the characters, etc. And I feel like this last video that you saw was from, I believe, 2015 or 16, so I've still managed to change even more, and my videos have actually gotten a bit longer, from 4 minutes to, I think my last video was 12 minutes or something like that, which feels like going back, but it's actually because I feel like as I've grown older, I've got more things to say about the book, and I actually want to create a book discussion. And overall, I just think it's really interesting to see how everything has changed over the years. But I feel like nowadays I still do. I put these effects and these zoom-ins and music, and I overlap screens and things that I think make it more interesting instead of just talking about the book. Also, I feel like a justification for doing longer videos is because people have gotten more used to the YouTube platform. When I started watching YouTube, everyone did these quick videos to catch people's attention. But as YouTube has become a job, because some people are YouTubers and actually live from this, they do these really long videos, and people just have, it's a new style of TV, and people just put a YouTube video on TV, and they sit on their couch and they just watch it. So I feel like it looks like it's gotten longer and we've gone back in my method of thinking, but it's actually still adapting to the ever-changing world we live in. So actually, the reason for starting to make videos, as I said, as you can see here, I actually started a blog, which I no longer use anymore, because when I started this, I had actually previously already started a blog with my best friend. I don't know if any of you know iCarly. It's a Nickelodeon show that I used to watch and adore. And those are actually the first people I ever saw do a web series. And that was like a precursor of YouTube and what YouTubers do nowadays. People, teenagers that film themselves and that they make money and that they just film themselves being stupid. And that's what me and my best friend wanted to do, but we were 10, so it was kind of hard. And I decided that I wanted to start something by myself that I could keep up with more frequency than with my best friend, because obviously she lived far away from me, and to meet up it was very hard because we had to, our parents had to drive to each other's houses, so it was a difficult time to be 10 and start a web series. But that's why I decided to start my blog. When I wanted to start my blog, I didn't know what to do it about, because I feel like I've always had loads of passions, and there's many things that I would like to talk about. And books didn't even cross my mind, because it was something that I had so normalized at my house that I thought, why would I talk about books? And then one day I was leaving French class with my dad, and he said, well, why don't you do the blog about books? And I was like, well, it's obvious that I like reading. Why would people want to know what I have to say about books? But as I kept thinking about it, I realized that people my age, as I said, didn't like to read. And that's when I made this change of thinking, maybe I can be the person that will help them get into this world of reading. And obviously my mum also, she doesn't love to read. Reading is her life and books are her life. So it was overall a project that felt very fitting for me and very easy to do, because I already loved to read. So I only had to talk about the books that I liked and try to I wasn't even sharing my passion. I was just talking from the heart about a book that I really liked, Jerónimo Stilton, and to see how people actually liked seeing that, and to start to receive comments of people saying that because I recommended a book, they started to read it, and that because I recommended something, they started reading in general, and that they liked it, was amazing to me. And that started to happen from my YouTube videos, because when I started the blog, that was the first thing I did. I created the blog, and then I obviously made a Facebook, a Twitter, an Instagram, and a YouTube channel with the username, because I wanted to be everywhere. And then I started posting loads of posts on my blog, writing, and then I also decided to make the videos, because at that time my mum was also on a TV show talking about books. So then I said, well, I'm going to do the same thing here in my living room, and making my parents film me, as I already said, and then editing it and posting it. So I basically tried to be on every platform. It was Twitter, Instagram, it was written, and it was filmed. But then I realized that what I actually really enjoyed was talking about books, editing the videos, thinking the video idea. That was my actual passion, not just writing blog posts about it. And since this was a project it was a passion project. It started from the heart. It started because, I don't know, I was looking for a hobby, because I just wanted to do it. So I just followed my gut and said, if you don't want to write blog posts anymore, just do videos if it's what you really liked. And not only is it what I really like, it's gotten me to where I am today, studying what I'm studying. So I'm so lucky. I'm so thankful that I stuck with that idea. So that's when I started my YouTube channel and actually started to become a booktuber. Okay. Which is a word that I hadn't heard yet when I started all of this. This is actually a term that I first heard in, I don't know, 2014 or 15. And my mum said something about, do you know what's a booktuber? And I said no. And she said, well, look it up because I think you'll like it. And I just searched booktuber on YouTube, and thousands of videos started popping up of people older than me, but still people, young people, talking about books in Spanish, in English, from everywhere. And it was a moment of realization where I was like, wow, there's more people that are doing this. It's not just me, which I feel like nowadays it's kind of hard to imagine a world where you don't post something on the internet to get something out of it, or already thinking subscribers, views, comments, etc. But really, when you're 11 and you don't really know anything about this digital world, you're just a user, you're not actually a creator, and there's no such thing as a YouTuber yet. You really just do it for fun, which is what I did. So to me, I never thought, oh, there can be a community out of this. Oh, maybe there's more people that do this, because I was just doing it because I wanted to do it. And I was just doing it to share it with my friends and with people that I knew. So to actually find loads of people that were doing the same thing as I was doing was amazing and such a good feeling. And you, in your talk, you were saying, Albert, that you've been doing lots of community work and that you've worked with the schools to create English Day and everything. And I feel like that's what the BookTube community allows, because, as I said, reading is something that loads of people think is lonely and you've got to do it by yourself. It's not a social activity, and that equals not wanting to do it. But actually, the digital world remedies that, and it changes the whole meaning of reading and how you share it. Because yes, reading might be something that you do by yourself at your house, but if you finish the book, film each video, post it, and in the case of some big American booktubers, you get 300,000 views. You can't really say that you're by yourself, because it's 300,000 people that have seen the video, and then loads of comments and interacting with those people. And in places like VidCon and these events, you actually get to meet the people that watch your videos So that is a sense of community like I've never seen before, because it actually changes the whole meaning and stigma that's around reading, and it totally and completely inverts it and makes it a community activity, which I think personally is amazing. So backtracking to what I said, when I first heard the word booktuber and I saw that more people were doing this, I was amazed. And well, I feel like most of you will know nowadays because it's a word that has been gaining popularity. But a booktuber is basically a person that talks about books on YouTube. So a YouTuber that talks about books. And I was a booktuber without even realizing it, without using the term for the first 2 years or 3 years that I was doing this. And since then, I started to call myself a booktuber, which I thought was amazing, that I had a term and that I had a community and everything. But obviously, everything that I had seen was an American community and basically loads of people that didn't speak my language and everything. So when a boy my age, well, 1 year younger, I think, approached me on Twitter and said that he had started a blog and a YouTube channel in Catalan from watching my videos, was the actual moment when my brain literally exploded. And I thought that it was amazing that that had happened because of me. Not only did I share my passion for reading, but I had shared my passion for someone to share their passion, which is just mind-blowing. So that was the actual first sense of community here, that from there just grew and grew and grew, as you see here. This is a photo of la segona trobada de joves lectors del que llegeixes. And since I can't remember what year these started, but it was a really mind-blowing moment when people that had been talking to me through the internet, through comments, through text messages, etc., actually got together and saw each other in person. Was like, wow, like to actually share your passion with all these people that are, because it's not sharing just the passion for reading, it's sharing the passion for sharing the passion for reading, you know? So it was just a really amazing experience, and it totally changed my sense of digital community and the whole booktube sphere. And I actually got to understand what people that were doing this in America or in the UK felt, de-virtualizing people and actually having a group of people there that shared the same passion for reading. It was really amazing. So this, for example, is a type of video that I did, which is a vlog, which takes me to my next point, which is how to actually share that passion for reading. Because obviously I can make 1,000 videos talking about one book, each video about a different book, and just recommending different books. But what I actually wanted to do was, keeping in mind my main target, my main point, was to get people that didn't like to read. So I took my friends and I tried to analyze what they liked and how I could adapt that to a literary aspect side. So then I started to make different kinds of videos, always relating to books, but different kinds of videos that everyone likes, just talking about books. So for example, everyone likes watching vlogs. So I just vlogged La Trobada de Joves Lectors. Or for example, when Halloween rolls around, everyone watches these videos on how to dress up, DIY costumes, etc. And they're a really big hit. So I said, okay, I'm just going to do the same, but with book characters. And here I dressed up as 4 different book characters, and I showed everyone DIY tutorials on how to dress up. This, for example, here, I feel like you'll know her. She's Hermione from Harry Potter. And then these are all other different characters. Then I said, okay, I love to bake. How can I channel my passion for baking and my passion for reading in the same video? I said, okay, I'm just going to make a video showing people how to make cake pops themed as Harry Potter. So you can't see them all here, but this is supposed to be, you don't have to actually take into account my baking skills because they're not very good, but the intention was there. And this is Hedwig, this is a book of spells, this is platform 9 3/4, this is the scar that Harry has on his head. But basically I managed to mix Harry Potter and baking and do a video that I could post on my BookTube channel, but also talking about something that doesn't even have to do with books, mixing it all together. Then, as you can see here, this is one of the beginnings of my cinematographic days when I started to realize that I liked cinema, etc. And I said, okay, the Oscars are a hit. Everyone loves the Oscars. I feel like when it's Oscars time, loads of people post videos on who they'll think they'll win, etc. So I said, sure, I'll do a video on Oscars, but about books. So I'm gonna give books an Oscar. And then I did all these categories and I gave Oscars to books, for example, best fantasy book, best romance novel, etc., etc., but in the theme of the Oscars. Oh, also in this video, I dress up, and it was one of those first videos where I started really editing in more detail, and I dress up and I split the screen, and it's a very fun video, if I do say so myself. Then DIYs, as I said, are a very big trend on the internet. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do a DIY, but let's see what can I do related to books. And here I actually mixed DIYs, Christmas and books. So I created this section on my channel called Llibres i Pinzells, as you can see here. And then I did a present that you can give to someone. It was a DIY, and the thing, you can't really see it here, but I did a whole wall where you wrote book quotes that you had in common with the other person, or if books you liked, etc. And that was the DIY idea. Then this is a video that I did for Sant Jordi, which is obviously one of the most exciting days for booktubers, for readers in general, and for the channel, which really gave me the opportunity to be more creative. So here, for example, I did different types of friends that you might have and what books you could give them. So we've got the romantic, we've got the drama queen, we've got the stalker, we have loads of different personalities and what books go with those personalities. So again, not making one full video talking about one single book, but actually dressing up, putting music, editing, etc. And recommending more than one book without the person even realizing that they're getting all these book recommendations in. This is another one of those, this is actually La Primera Trobada de Joves Lectors, and this, we did a book challenge because a few years ago it was very big on BookTube to do book challenges and tags. So again, working with a sense of community, digital community, so you would tag someone to do a challenge from your house to their house, and they had to do a separate video, but it was still connecting two channels and people from one channel going to another one. So that was what was very in back then. And we did an infinite book challenge, which is just a type of book challenge. But again, it was a challenge with loads of people talking about books and doing something that to the first look looks like just a game. And then here, I just invented a challenge myself with my friends from school, the ones that I always try to get them to read. And it's actually amazing because two of my best friends from school did not like to read. And I was the one who suggested The Hunger Games. And from that book, they haven't been able to stop reading, which is something that I really pride myself on, and that makes me really happy. So these are my 5 best friends, like my close group of friends from school. And we did a video together recreating book covers, but because it was Christmas, we did recreating Christmas book covers, and it's just a fun video. Again, mixing loads of concepts, but overall talking about books. So what I mean with this is that the possibilities are endless. The ways you can talk about reading are really unimaginable, because what I've done over these 9 years is mixing everything that I like, because meaning that I like books doesn't mean that I don't like anything else. So I just take everything that I like and I try to find a way to mix it in a book context and then post it on my YouTube channel. For example, here we have audiobooks. I did a video talking about audiobooks because it's one of these new technologies that people might be scared of. Oh, I don't like audiobooks because it's different, and you perhaps haven't even tried it. And I did a full video talking about them and about how I really enjoyed them, and how it helps with the multitasking that I keep talking about, etc. Or for example, over here, there's a whole section on the Booktubeathon, which is a digital challenge that Ariel Bisset, which is another booktuber, a Canadian booktuber, started, where she did a reading marathon. So it consists on reading for a full week straight, different types of books, the maximum amount of books that you can. Usually it's 7, so a book per day. And she transformed it into a booktubeathon where you post videos every day and there's Twitter sprints, and it's overall an amazing experience. But it's just to show how people over the years have found different ways to make reading more appealing and keep it up to date with everything that's changing in the world and online, and keep them up to date and making people want to have interest in them. So this brings me to teaching in 2020. So as I said, and as I've shown you, the possibilities are really endless, and you can talk about a book in many different ways, and someone might not even realizing that you're talking about a book, and it'll be a really fun video and you'll still have that book element in there. And when it comes to teaching, I feel like you can do the same thing. When I went to school and when I did reading subjects, obviously I loved doing, for example, taking Catalan literature, universal literature, and Spanish literature that I took in bachillerato. But when it came to the common reading assignments for català o castellà, it was just not the same, because when you're in these specific les assignatures, ara no em ve la paraula, subjects, when you're in these specific subjects where you decide to take them, obviously it's people who already like to read. Why would you take 3 different literatures if you didn't like to read? But people who don't like to read and must take Catalan and Spanish, when they come to the reading part of the subject, they never like it, and it's always the same. It's always reading a book, which most of the students, let's be honest, don't even read. They just look up synopsis and stuff online, take an exam with a few questions. It's a simple test that you can still pass without even having read the book, or that they will fail, and still it's a really small part of the subject. And it's always the same. I've never seen it being done any different. And I feel like it's just wasting an opportunity to actually explore, improvise, and take new challenges and new risks, and bring the students to a whole different aspect of reading that they've never seen before, especially in a classroom. So these are a few of the methods that I think could really work in classrooms and when it comes to teaching about reading. So these are 6 concepts that I have gathered up. So you might be familiar with a few of them, most of them, or none of them. I will just briefly go over the 6 of them. So for example, video lits. This is a concept that I heard a few years back, and it's An audiovisual capsule, it's a video of about 3 to 5 minutes. Basically what it does, it's made up of a text. It's usually a poem, but it can be any type of text in the world. And you basically transform the text, bring it to an audiovisual form. So an example that I always like to give for a video lit is Television is a Drug by Todd Alcott, and the video is called Television. The poem's called Television, and it's a poem that has been transformed into a video, and it's an amazing video. It's so quick. It's loads of images and loads of colors and text, and it's got everything, and it's a poem, so literature, transformed into a video, and it's basically bringing this text to a whole different genre, which is the audiovisual world. And I think that's pretty cool. Book trailers, for example. We all know that movies have trailers, right? They tell you what's going to happen in a book, in a movie. Well, a book trailer is essentially the same thing, but for a book. And I feel that's something that nowadays publishing houses are doing a lot, because they've really catched onto it and seen that if someone wants to read a book and they just find a video on their YouTube recommendations, you think it's a movie, you don't really know what it is, but it's telling you a story and you're interested in the story. And then you see in the end, it pops up and it says, book will come out this fall, blah, blah, blah. And then if the person has really grabbed onto it, they'll be like, okay, I'll read the book because this just looks really interesting, rather than someone saying, oh, you should read this book, and then you just forget about it because it's not as visual and you don't really stick with it that much. So I really think showing book trailers, making students actually do book trailers for books they've already read, it's an exercise that really takes everything into account. You've got to have read the book, you've got to choose what you want to show in the book trailer, you've got to choose if you want to do a book trailer of just things that happen in the book, if you want to be more creative than that, and actually talk about your opinion, or actually, I don't know, every book trailer can be something completely different. I've done a few myself, and I think it's a really fun activity that instead of a test where you don't even have to read the book to pass the test, here you've got to think of read the book, think of the video idea, execute it, edit it, and then show it to your classmates and explain the process that has gone into it. And I feel like nowadays creating audiovisual content as a class activity is a really big hit, and that people like to do it, at least when I went to school. Well, I haven't been outside of school that long, it's only been 2 years, but still. Also, booktubers, as I was saying, I feel like it can be an activity that you can do in class and make people actually become booktubers and make them film videos of themselves talking about a book. And this has actually, well, it's already been done plenty of times. I myself have been invited to schools to see these booktube imitations, and I've been to schools to talk about booktubers, and then see the students. I see them so excited to actually show what they've created and the passion that they have behind a project that they've spent so much time doing and creating and thinking, and actually executing all of this and showing their work makes them really happy. So I think this is also an amazing activity, and it might even get people interested in creating a booktube channel and start doing this. So I think that's really cool. Then Bits de Literatura is something that all the others you can find in different languages. Bits de Literatura is a different kind of video, which is essentially like a booktube video, but it's really short, and it talks about literary classics, and it's on a green screen, and there's many things happening behind you, and this is more of a, not something that the students have to do, but it can be a way to show students an interactive video of El Quijote, Dracula, La Celestina, big classics that might seem boring, and now with a 2-minute video looks like something very interesting. Then literary apps, I feel like is something that people tend to forget about a lot, but there was a time where they were really big, and it's a way to actually bring books into our everyday lives, because what do we use more than our phones? Nothing. So if you can have a literary app on your phone and you're on Instagram and then you sign off Instagram and go into another app and it's a book app, imagine. Some of my favorites are Calavercita Roja or Little Dead Riding Hood, which is amazing. It's by Id Book, and the illustrator is Emi Ordaz, and the text is written by Luis Murillo. If you want to look it up on the App Store, it's amazing. It does a whole twist and change on the classic story of Little Red Riding Hood and turns it into Little Dead Riding Hood. Then we've got I, Poe, which is Poe, Edgar Allan Poe, but transformed into these really amazing illustrations done by David García Forés, and there's an audio also which tells a story over it, and it's truly amazing, really immersive, really gets you into the book, and it's by iClassics publishing house. And then finally, Alice in Wonderland for iPad is a really beautiful animation of these classical stories, and it's really interactive. You've got to actually move the iPad around. You make, when Alice turns small, the drawing actually turns small. When she turns big, it actually turns big. You can make her drink things. You can make her move around. It's really just taking a classical story that you can read and bringing it into this whole new world, which is digital, and it gives you so many opportunities to do so many amazing things. It's by Ocean House Media, and John Tenniel is the illustrator, and obviously Lewis Carroll is the writer. And then finally, we've got Literatura Musicada, which is something that I feel like I've always talked about it, but more than talking about it, I've always listened to it. And I really forget how amazing this could be in a classroom, because everyone loves listening to music. And if someone doesn't, that would be really weird, but everyone loves listening to music. So if you make them listen to a song and then you say, well, this is actually a poem, this is actually the Odyssey by Homer, and you're just listening to songs and you didn't even know that you're learning by heart La Odissea de Homer, or that you're learning els contes de Pere Calders de la Veritat Oculta, or that you're learning Montserrat Abelló, etc., etc. There are many incredible musical adaptations of classical texts, of poems, books that actually already have this, they've already been thought this way, which is the case of L'amor fora de mapa de Roc Casagran, which is a book that comes with a CD. So you read the book, but you also listen to the CD, and they both merge in the story. So it's keeping both in mind. But as I said, for example, the Odyssey one is amazing, and it's a CD of L'Odissea de Homer, and it's sung, and you're actually, like, you can learn by heart this classical story, which is amazing, and it's done by Elias Munchuli, who's the singer. Also, Les Cròniques de la Veritat Oculta de Pere Calders, transformed into Les Cançons de la Veritat Oculta, sung by Judith Nederman, is an amazing disc that's even on Spotify, so you can literally learn Els Contes de Pere Calders. And also l'antologia poètica de Montserrat Abelló, sung by Mirna Vilasís i Xavi Murcia, is another example. There are many of them. I've been documenting them over the years because it's something that I'm really passionate about. But yeah, these are a few examples of how you can transform teaching about books using all these different methods that I think students won't really expect, and surprise them and actually make them have fun with reading and with everything it entails. As I said, reading for me has been a full circle experience. It started when I was so little that I can't even remember it. Books have always been a part of my life, and it's finished with me talking to you, sharing my passion for reading and hoping that you will share it as well with your students, etc. It's been a wild journey that's taken me so many places that I did not expect to go. These are just a few photos of experiences. I've had the opportunity of living, like being on TV or being on the radio or actually being on a newspaper. But mainly, I think the things that I enjoy the most are these conferences where I get to actually talk straightly to people and not a camera, because I feel like talking to a camera is what I already do from home. So when I got my first request to go to a school and to talk to loads of people, students from the ESO, and share my passion for reading and talk to them in person, it was just mind-blowing to me and so amazing, because it meant that people wanted to actually hear me in person. It wasn't just my videos, which was just amazing for me, and it's obviously my favorite part of all of this, when I can actually go and share my passion live and in person to someone. So that's amazing, and these are just a few other experiences. But obviously, as Albert said in the beginning of this, there's one that just takes the cake, and it's the best thing that has ever happened to me and the best thing that will have ever happened to me, which was getting the opportunity of being a TED speaker in 2015 in New York. Because I feel like everyone says that reading makes you travel. It makes you travel to so many distant places, etc., to different worlds. But in this case, it literally, which sounds really cheesy, but it literally took me from here, from my house to New York, to talk to 500 people in person, plus 1 million on streaming from around the world. There was simultaneous translation as I was talking in English to many different languages, and to just think that so many people heard me talking about my passion. It was just a reassuring moment of people really do care about reading, and they really do care about people that share their passion, which I feel like is something, even though we're here to talk about reading, is something that I always want to convey to people, which is that if you really do have a passion, you have to stick with it, and it will take you to amazing places, like it's happened to me. I just still can't believe all of this. It's amazing, and this was one of the best days of my life, and I always love talking about it because it was amazing. So this is all from me. I hope that I didn't bore you too much. If you have any questions, I believe now is the time to ask them. And well, thank you so much for spending this afternoon with me and for letting me talk to you about my passion and my life and everything. Thank you so much.
Moltes gràcies, Marta. El problema dels micros que ara estan apagats i no podem aplaudir tots, no? Però llavors, no sé si ens pot veure tots alhora, estem aplaudint. Moltes gràcies. La veritat és que jo no sé què us haurà passat als altres, però és que el meu cap començava a generar idees i a anar pensant. I jo pensava, espera, Albert, he dit, no ets docent. Bueno, ets docent. No estàs a l'aula. Para el teu cap, perquè si no això ho petarem. Aquesta segona part la farem en anglès o en català en funció de l'idioma en què us expresseu vosaltres. No hi ha cap tipus de problema. Tenim equips directius convidats en aquesta sessió. Per tant, ja hem parlat amb la Marta que si alguna persona es vol adreçar en català, doncs ella contestarà en català, i si algú es vol adreçar en anglès, doncs ens contestarà en anglès. Llavors, a través del xat, qui vulgui demanar paraula, doncs comença el torn. O qui vulgui expressar alguna coseta. Ana Maria Godoy, vols posar el micro i dir-ho tu o ho llegeixo? Ana Maria diu, thanks Marta. Bueno, crec que ho podeu llegir tots, però you are incredible book reader, enjoy your passion for books.
Moltes gràcies. Well, thank you so much. I really hope that I didn't bore you all too much and that you got some ideas out of this. And if you need anything else, you can ask me, because I really love sharing all of this and helping teachers share their passion for reading, because I think it's amazing. So thank you.
Algú vol fer alguna pregunta? Aprofitar que tenim aquí a la Marta, que ens ha costat 2 anys ja tenir-la aquí. Portem 2 anys, jo no deia la Marta.
És que com pot ser que fes tant? O sigui, com no tinc pogut costar tant.
Bueno, no, 1 any i mig, posem 1 any i mig, però 2 cursos, al final de curs.
Sí.
Algú més vol dir alguna coseta?
Si no, si surten dubtes, m'ho poden dir a través de xarxes socials i tal, que sempre contestaré aquestes qüestions.
Perfecte. És molt instagramer. Jo és que no ho soc tant i per això no vam connectar tan ràpid. Jo soc més tuitero. Vale, la Maria Dolors de Coromina de la Llante ens demana la paraula.
Hi, Marta. I wanted to know how do you decide which book are you going to recommend? Is it just what you read, or and who are you talking to? Because it's such a big spectrum, no?
Yeah.
You can do from children to teens, or so. How do you decide?
Thank you. The books that I talk about are mainly and exclusively books that I've really enjoyed, because something that I didn't talk about in the presentation is that just like YouTubers have turned making YouTube videos into a job, loads of booktubers, like publishing houses, send them books, for example, for them to recommend. And that's happened to me, and loads of publishing houses send books over and they say, if you want to talk about them, you can. But when this first happened to me ever, I feel like I've gotten used to it now, but when this first happened to me, I was kind of shocked, and the first thing I replied was, well, I'm just going to talk about the book if I really enjoy the book. So if you don't want to send them to me, it's fine, because I'm not going to talk about a book that I didn't like. And that has a reason behind it. And it's because since I'm here to talk about, well, spread my passion for reading, I think it's important to not do a 13-minute video talking about specifically why I didn't like a book. So I just talk about books that I really like, and hopefully that other people will like, because I'm not a book critic, I'm a booktuber, and I do this because I love it. So I don't feel like making videos about books that I haven't liked is productive. It doesn't help anyone. And so the only criteria I use is a book that has really inspired me, that I've really liked, and that is something that I want to share with people. That's why sometimes I spend such a long time without posting a video, because maybe I haven't found a book that I really want to talk about online. So that's a bit the criteria behind the selecting process. And the spectrum of people, who do I talk to? Well, as I said, I started the blogs, I titled it Recomanacions de llibres infantils i juvenils, because when I was 11, I knew that I was about to grow up and that I would ideally continue this as I grew older, and it's what I've done. So I'm really thankful to my 11-year-old self that I did that, because now I'm la part juvenils de recomanacions infantils i juvenils, and I'm still talking about books. So I'm really happy that I didn't just call it recomanacions de llibres infantils, because that would have died out when I turned 16 or something. So the spectrum of people that I talk to is just people that want to watch the videos, because I feel like 11-year-olds will watch the videos that I did when I was 11, so that they see themselves on the screen. And I feel like people that watch my videos now are people my age now, or maybe they're older people, adults that have read this book. For example, I just posted a video talking about Mira el trencat de la Mercè Rodoreda. So I feel like loads of adults have watched the video because it's a book that they read, or loads of teachers because it's a book that's now on Selectivitat. So it's really, the thing about posting videos on YouTube is that I just talk to whoever wants to watch it and to listen to me. It's not, I never think of an age of someone because it's literally impossible to think who's watching that video.
Molt bé. Alguna altra pregunta? Anem bé de temps, Per tant...
Si tenia por de fer-la massa curta, espero que hagi servit el temps de la conferència.
Jo crec que el nostre cap ara està donant voltes a tot el que ens has dit, perquè en un moment ens has dit molta informació i el nostre cap està donant voltes. Doncs, si ningú vol dir res, s'acaba el torn de paraules, acomiadaríem a la Marta. Doncs, Marta, thank you so much for your speech. I think that we enjoy a lot and you transmit us your passion for books. I res més, que continuem seguint per les xarxes i que aquesta carrera de comunicació audiovisual acabi de donar-te aquest impuls que vols trobar a la teva vida professional. Moltes gràcies per haver vingut i esperem-nos trobar una altra ocasió.
Moltes gràcies a vosaltres.
Adéu.